All right, here he is returning to the show after, I think, just under a year. I think you were on December of last year. It's the one and only Jeff Pilson, of course, from Foreigner, Dokken, a bunch of other bands. Jeff, what's happening, man?
Well, great to be here, Logan.
Yeah, great to have you back. I'm surprised to see you in your home studio. I figured you would be in Vegas right now because I know the residency is still ongoing. So I figured
Yes.
I'd be talking to you from a hotel.
Well, actually, we're tomorrow. I go tomorrow. We have Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off. So we've been coming home on Sundays, and then going back on Wednesday afternoon, which is kind of nice. You get to home for a couple days, but then and then after the Vegas residency, this Saturday night is the last show of the year. So pretty excited about that.
And this residency in particular, there's been a couple of classic members joining you guys, right? Al Greenwood and Rick Wills, I believe. They've been on the entire run.
Well, yeah, they're probably not going to be doing this coming weekend, but they have been doing the run, and it's great when they're out, and we love those guys. And unfortunately, Rick was hospitalized last week. He had some problems, so they decided it's probably not a good idea to do next week. But they'll probably be joining us at other points in the year. We'll see. It's so great to have them when we do.
But is he still in the hospital or he's doing okay?
No, he's doing well. He actually flew back home a couple days ago. So now he's under his doctor's care, which is good. So he's okay, but it was a little shaky for a minute there, and we're glad he's good.
So this residency, is this the third one that you got? The one you guys have done this at least 3 years in a row now, right? Something like that.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, I'm horrible. I used to have this incredible memory, and I still have a good memory for certain things, but dates and venues and everything have just become one big blur for me. So I couldn't tell you for sure. I know it's at least three. We did one earlier this year, and I know we did one last year. So I forget if we did two last year or not, but I just forget. But yeah, we've done them, and we love doing them. They're great. It's a great sounding room. So it's a great show. We have the time of our lives there. So great way to end the year.
Well, and Foreigner really is a perfect band to do a Vegas residency. And honestly, though, I mean, Vegas residencies do well, for bands of all levels. Even, I think Tesla's been doing it recently, and they're doing, in the House of Blues. And then, of course, now that, the new thing is to do, Eagles and U2 doing these residencies at the Sphere, which I've not been out there to see this thing. Have you been to the Sphere being in Vegas?
No, but our manager went to see the Eagles last Friday, and he said it was just amazing. I do want to go to. I mean, I want to go to the Sphere. I'd love to see. I wish I could have seen you too, but I would love to see the Eagles. Not sure who else is going to be doing it, but the Eagles would be a good one. And I just heard it's amazing.
Yeah, I see all this footage online, and I was watching some Dead and Company footage. I'm not a Grateful Dead guy at all, but watching those trippy visuals, it would just be, I don't know. I feel like it would just be such a crazy experience to be so immersed in something like that. It's really cool to see that.
The Dead would be great for something like that because the visuals for them can be pretty psychedelic.
100%.
Really stepped hair back. But anyway.
Well, on the subject of classic members joining you, obviously there was a ton of dates for Foreigner going into 2025 recently announced, and I was reading that there's been discussions to have Lou Gramm involved in select shows as well moving forward. How is that coming along? Is that something that is confirmed yet, or is it still trying to figure things out?
No, they're still talking. I mean, I think that it's very likely to happen, but no, it's not locked in yet, if I'm going to be honest. But we're talking, and it's in a good place. So like I say, I'm very optimistic that can happen, and I'm really hoping it does because it's great when Lou joins us. It really is.
So is that something that you guys announce ahead of time, like so-and-so is going to be at these shows and so-and-so is going to be at that, whatever, or do you guys just kind of leave it as a surprise?
Sometimes we announce, sometimes it's a surprise. If Lou comes out, I'm sure we're going to announce it. I'm sure we would announce what shows he'll be at. But yeah, I do anticipate he's going to be doing some shows with us next year, which is really fun. especially after the Rock Hall and everything, it's really great when he gets to come out and sing.
Well, yeah, I was just going to bring up. Obviously, that's been the big news the last few weeks is Foreigner being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Obviously, very, very long overdue. Unfortunately, I guess you were not inducted alongside the classic members, but I think I've heard you say previously that that's the way it should be since you weren't there in the early days. But obviously, you did perform at the induction. It was a very star-studded set. And I would imagine, being inducted or not being inducted, just taking part in that had to be just such a surreal experience to be there performing and honoring Foreigner at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, it certainly surreal is the perfect word. It was surreal. It was chaotic. It was a zoo. The Rock Hall is very disorganized in certain aspects. Which we just took it as a challenge and we faced it and we did well. It was a struggle to get it happening. Not with the musicians. I mean, Slash and Chad were just so cool and we had a great time with them. It was a very smooth thing with all the musicians and the singers did great. So I'm really pleased with how it came out. But surreal and chaotic are two good words I use to describe it.
Does the band have any input on, who performs outside of who's in the band? I mean, how does, Demi Lovato, Kelly Clarkson, even Slash, Chad Smith, how do they end up playing? Does the Rock Hall come to you guys and say, hey, this is who's going to perform, or can you guys make suggestions? I guess even the same with Sammy Hagar, who, of course, not only performed, but inducted Foreigner as well. How does all that come together?
It was, I believe, there's a guy that I was dealing with at the Rock Hall, and I believe he was very instrumental in choosing the personnel and the singers. I think they have a board of people that they talk that over with, but yeah, the Rock Hall came to us with all of the accessory musicians and singers, and we loved everything they came at us with. So it was great. We had to negotiate Lou in there, which was good. But all good. All good.
Well, I got to say, I mean, Demi Lovato, she did a song on Slash's new album, the bluesy album, Orgy of the Damned. And then she put out a rock album and, I'm sure people are going to give me shit, but I think she's a fantastic rock singer. Same with Kelly Clarkson, but Demi Lovato, I don't know. She's a great. I know people like to goof on her or whatever, but she's a great rock singer.
Yeah. Well, listen, she delivered. I mean, she can hit some friggin' notes, man. I was impressed. No, she was pro. She was great. She, every rehearsal she was great, and the performance she did great. Yeah, she was wonderful. And Kelly Clarkson, my God, what a sweetheart. Just a great person. And she was so kind and easy to deal with. And she and Lou worked together really well. It was humbling how everyone came together. It was kind of like, this is a bigger picture, and everyone sort of succumb to that bigger picture, which is what you want. And it made for a really powerful performance and a great feeling.
Over the years, I'm sure I don't know how well you knew Demi Lovato or Kelly Clarkson going into this, but I guess as far as Slash and Sammy Hagar and Chad Smith go, with those guys all being rock guys, there was probably some sort of existing relationship with Foreigner, yourself, and them over the years.
I personally had never met Chad Smith, but Luis, our guitar player, had played with him, which was great. And Chad came in. I mean, he knew all our history and everything. He came in very well prepared. He's such an incredible drummer and a great guy. But I'd never met him, which was really cool. And it turned out he was wonderful. Slash I've known for years. So that was great. And that was easy. Sammy Hagar I've known for years. So that was easy. So yeah, I mean, there was the rock guys were, I mean, it's not like we're best buddies that hang out all the time, but we definitely know each other. And it was very, very cool. And, it was just a great vibe. It was really as good as you could have expected it to be.
Was the induction sort of what sparked more of the classic members to begin appearing with Foreigner now at this the ongoing Vegas residency and then going into the future?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, listen, we want to honor the Rock Hall as much as we can, and Lou is kind of thinking about retiring, but I think if he did shows with us as kind of his last hurrah sort of thing. I think that would be a really great way for him to kind of, end his touring career. So yes, to answer your question, the Rock Hall kind of sparked that, and I think that's great.
Well, notably, of course, Mick Jones was absent from the induction. His daughter was there on his behalf, and he's been absent from Foreigner's live shows for a couple of years now. And I think even towards the end, when he was still appearing with the band live, I believe it was only just for maybe a few songs or whatever. But I would imagine that you're still in touch with him regularly. How is he doing?
He is doing well. He really is. Parkinson's can be a really debilitating disease. So he has his ups and downs, no question. But overall, he's doing great. He was very, very excited about the Rock Hall. He was very happy with the performance. Of course, he wished he could have been there, of course. But he had family surrounding him as he was watching it. He's got some very loving, supportive family, and they were there. So he's doing really, under the circumstances, which is a debilitating disease, he's doing quite well.
Do you think, or does he think that he'll be able to ever return to the stage, even just maybe a handful more times, or is that definitely still up in the air?
Well, there's no definite no, but I kind of don't see it happening. But I mean, obviously, if he wanted to play, we'd be excited and let him play. But
sure.
I mean, want him to, it's his band. but I kind of don't see that. It would be great. I mean, he is doing some treatments on a pretty high level, and he is getting results. So, God, if he can get enough results to play, that would be great. But I would never announce that I thought it was possible, just because I think right now it's best that he take care of what he has to take care of.
Sure. Well, hey, if you don't have your health, you don't really have anything. So, 100%. But one last thing, I guess, on Foreigner before I want to talk about some other stuff. But how exactly did you end up joining the band? I know there was that muscular dystrophy benefit back in like 2004 or something, where I think is really where the new version of Foreigner began. But how did you become involved to perform at that benefit and then subsequently become a member of Foreigner?
All right, so I had filmed a movie in 2000 called Rockstar. It came out in 2001.
Of course.
And in that movie, Jason Bonham was with me. We were bandmates in that, and even wrote a song that it's not in the movie, but I believe it's on the soundtrack album. So we connected during Rockstar. So and musically and personally. So when he started working with Mick Jones in 2004, they called me to come down, and I just came down, and we played, we did that show, and the chemistry was immediate, and that pretty much sparked Mick to want to revamp the band. So I just kind of came in through Jason Bonham, and it kind of happened organically, and it just fell together. The chemistry was immediate.
I know this happened after you joined the band, but were you a part of the when Led Zeppelin did the reunion show in 2007 and Foreigner opened? Were you a part of that as well?
Absolutely, of course, yeah.
That had to be fucking. I wasn't sure because when I was reading online, it said I forget where I was reading it, but that Mick was billed as Foreigner, but Mick was the only one, and there was like other people that weren't necessarily involved. So I wasn't 100%, but that had to be what a fucking memory and what a thing to be a part of.
That's completely wrong. No, we absolutely opened as Foreigner. The only other thing is that we had Brian Tishy playing drums that night because Jason was playing with Led Zeppelin and Jimmy did not want him playing with us first.
Sure.
In fact, he didn't want to. I mean, he had to concentrate on Zeppelin. But yeah, we were there that night, and that's another surreal moment. One of the highlights of my career, really, because I wasn't sure what to expect from Zeppelin. It was Zeppelin fans. I mean, 2 million people tried to get into that show, and it only held 3,000. So it was a crazy night. And like I say, the anticipation, and I'm thinking, how are we going to play in front of Zeppelin? But we did our thing, and the audience was great. It's like there was this real warm vibe for the night, and they kind of embraced us as a band to open the show. It was wonderful. It was a great night, and then Zeppelin came out and gave a master class in how a band interacts and performs. It was just amazing. It was an unreal, it was an unworldly experience. It really was. It was like some aliens came down and showed us all what a rock show is supposed to be. It was that good.
I mean, looking back at your career from Foreigner to, of course, Dokken to everything else, I mean, I would have to imagine that show with Led Zeppelin, I mean, obviously you've probably played thousands of shows, but if I were you, that would probably be in my top five, maybe even top two or three shows of all time, to be able to say I fucking played with Led Zeppelin. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. We opened for Zeppelin. We played right before them.
And it was a like a tribute show, right, for somebody from Atlantic Records.
It was for Ahmet Ertegun, who had passed away at he'd fallen at a Rolling Stones show, and then a couple months later he died. So this was a tribute to Ahmet, that our manager Phil Carson put together, because our manager Phil used to be the head of Atlantic UK and was very, very tight with Ahmet. And Ahmet Ertegun, was just a gigantic legend. So it was a tribute show, and Keith Emerson, Chris Squire, Simon Kirk, oh God, all sorts of people. It was a fabulous, fabulous night.
Wow, what an incredible experience thing to be a part of. I guess one final thing on Foreigner. I wanted to ask. There's a lot of people online that I'm sure you've seen the same. It's I see it frequently. Anytime Foreigner gets brought up, and a lot of people will refer to the current incarnation of the band as a cover band, or it's the world's highest paid tribute band, et cetera, things like that. Obviously, when people say those things, it's not really a compliment. They think they mean it in a negative context.
No, they're definitely meaning it.
Yeah,
meaning.
Of course. But how do you feel? I mean, obviously, it's not a great feeling, but I guess how do you feel when you hear that? Because obviously, at this point, it is no original members, so it's easy to see what they're saying. But obviously, at the same time, I would also argue that ticket sales speak for themselves, and yourself and Kelly Hansen, at least, I don't know about the other guys, but you guys have been there for 20 years at this point. So it's not like it's a bunch of teenagers that are now playing in Foreigner.
Well, to answer your question, you sort of answered it. The ticket sales sort of speak for themselves. Listen, I understand where people are coming from. I understand it. But I also know that with Foreigner, it's the songs are really the legacy. And so my job as musical director is to make sure that the songs sound and deliver in the way that they should. And I think I'm doing my job because, yes, there are haters online, of course, but I think there's not as many as you might think. I think their voices are louder than the amount of people doing it.
Sure.
Because the ticket sales do speak for themselves, and the offers from promoters speak for themselves. We are very well established as Foreigner right now. So again, if people don't want to come because there's no original members, that's okay. I understand that. But if you want to come and hear Foreigner songs done really, really well, come to our show.
What does you being the musical director of the band, what all does that entail? I mean, do you decide, obviously you're going to play the hits, but outside of the mega hits that you have to play, do you decide some of the other songs that gets played? And I would assume you go over all the arrangements and make sure everybody's got their shit together and all that. But what all does that gig entail?
Well, once again, you kind of answered the question. It's, I decide the set list. And it's kind of my job. I mean, listen, it's an easy job in the respect that everybody's a great musician. Everybody listens. I mean, that's how you got to be in the band, is because you were going to fill that position well. So it's not like I have to ride herd on anybody, but I have to listen. I have to make sure, hey, don't get too carried away doing this, or let's keep the vocals tight on this thing, or I have to kind of ongoingly do that. But it's a very easy job because we all have the same vision, and that's the biggest part of it. So again, I kind of think of it as an easy job, but I take it very seriously, and it's very important to me that the delivery we give to people is 100%. And I feel like we do that every night. So I'm very, very confident in what we do.
Well, obviously, like we mentioned earlier, there were a ton of dates recently announced for 2025. Now, at this point, now that we're I think when you were here last year, it was, well, I don't know how much touring we're going to be doing after 2024. So now that we're at the end of 2024 with a ton of dates for next year, how long do you think this Foreigner farewell tour will continue on?
Well, when we first decided, and we did at one point think that this was going to be the end of the road, and then the pressure just got too great. And then with the Rock Hall, it just became obvious that we had to continue, that maybe we're going to not do the long 9 and 10 months of the year road stuff anymore. And that's kind of what we mean by a farewell tour. We always anticipated that in 2025 we'd be doing other things like perhaps getting some new music out and we came to the acceptance of that we were going to be doing shows in 2025, during the course of the year. We came to accept that. Now we're realizing, okay, it's going to be more than we thought. It's not a 9 and 10 month of the year tour though. So that in that sense, the farewell of that has happened. But how long do I see it going? I see it going a while with the momentum that we've established. So I would not be surprised if we continue well past 25.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I've never seen Foreigner, so hopefully one of these times.
You live? You in Phoenix?
No, I'm in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
So, but I did see there are some Ohio shows announced for next year. So,
well, what's the in Ohio?
I live, I would say, somewhat near Cleveland.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll definitely play Cleveland next year.
Yeah, I'll have to. Well, and there's a festival that you guys are doing. It's a lot of country bands that's in the area, but it'll be. So I was shocked to see that lineup because I forget who else is on it. It's like Foreigner and maybe Brooks and Dunn, and there's some other rock bands. I think Night Ranger's playing too, but it's like half country, older country, and half like classic rock bands. So yeah, that'll be interesting
it's
for sure.
Country and rock, cock.
Cock, exactly. It's a cock fest. But no, last time you were on, we of course spent a majority of the time talking Dokken because between Dokken and Foreigner and everything else in your career, there's so much ground to cover. But the one thing that we did not discuss, and I feel is often very overlooked about your career and overshadowed by Dokken and Foreigner, is War and Peace. Because, my God, what a great band. I was listening this morning to Time Capsule, and
wow.
I love that album. And I saw
wow.
there's another when a while back, it might have been around the first time you were on, I went and looked, and I think Time Capsule was the only album but on streaming. But then I checked again today, and there was another one.
Flesh and Blood Sessions?
No, it wasn't that one. It was I can't remember
Walls
the name
Have
of it.
Eyes?
No, the other one.
Oh wow!
I can't remember the name of it, but I saw that pop up, so I was jamming that this morning. But my God, what a great band, and just next level. It's super underrated.
Well, thank you. Check out the Flesh and Blood Sessions. It's much heavier. It's kind of a little more along the lines of how I was originally envisioning War and Peace. But thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, that was, it was a very good time in my life. It was the bond that we had as a band was really great, especially coming out of Dokken where things were so funky. But I had Tommy and Ricky living at my house with me, and it was just a great period of time. Wonderful time. We had a great time as a band. We lived like a rock band. It was great.
Well, and everybody, of course, always associates you with George Lynch, who is a phenomenal guitar player. But the other guitar player that I feel is incredibly underrated, who was on the Time Capsule album, is Satchel. But at that point, he was Russ Parrish. But what a fucking monster guitar player! And even I think Fight with Rob Halford, I think, was after War and Peace. Right, War and Peace was before he was part of that. But even listening to Time Capsule this morning, you can hear, I mean, if you know any of Steel Panther's catalog, I mean, you can tell that is very much him. He's got a very distinct style, and just that whole band is incredible musicians, but he's such a great guitarist.
Thank you. I mean, and Russ was a huge part of that. Russ is, I mean, he's found a niche where he's happy, so that's cool. But he should be a guitar hero. He really should. He's that good. He's phenomenally talented, and I mean, he was 19 years old on that time capsule record. I
Oh
mean,
wow,
so
no kidding.
yeah, he was a kid, and he was just phenomenal. Yeah.
Are you a Steel Panther fan?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife especially, she really
Yeah.
loves Steel Panther. But I mean, come on, their songs are so funny and they're great. I mean, the fact is, they're musicians who could pull off that music as good as anybody that does that kind of music. So for them to parody it, it really works because they're delivering musically. They're just lyrically,
Over the
taking the
top.
piss out of everything. It's great.
Yeah, and I think I think that's why they've been able to be doing it for so long is because there are bands that try to get all silly and whatever, but if the music is not there, it's just not gonna last, But they're
Right.
musically, it's phenomenal. But I know so many people get oh, I wish they would do a serious record and blah blah blah, and it's like it's just it's rock and roll, man, But is there any chance that you would do anything else with War and Peace later on down the road, or because there was what 4 albums you did, right?
Uh, I think so. I'm not sure. Because there's material kind of floating around. Would I ever do anything with War and Peace? Well, there's a live album that never got released. It never got mixed. That there was like a lot of technical problems with it, and I've always kind of thought I've always had been a part of me that's like, should I go in and try and tackle that? But unfortunately, it was Mitch Perry was playing guitar, and it was his guitar amp that had the technical issues, and he's such a huge part of the band that I don't know if I could fix it enough to make it sound good enough to release it. So don't know if I'd ever do that. I do have other material that could kind of fit into a War and Peace record if I ever did it, but I kind of don't see it. It would, I think I have other priorities, to be honest with you. So I doubt if that would ever happen. I do want to do before I die. I'd like to do an album of a lot of the material that I've written over the years that kind of doesn't fit into anything. It's kind of my own thing, and I'd love to do a solo record of that. I don't anticipate anybody to buy it. It's just going to be there as a testament to my, to who I am and my music. Because like I say, I don't know, Dokken fans probably wouldn't get it, but but I want to put it out someday. That's kind of my goal on the personal side, because I do have enough material for a record of that, and most of it is recorded, and that's something I'd like to focus on at some point. But I have a lot of I do have some foreign music to work on in the immediate future. I've got I got to finish up a Black Swan record this year. George and I are going to do another Heavy Hitters record sometime this year, and in 2025 probably start another End Machine record for 26. So I got a lot of stuff ahead of me to record, plus whatever shows we do end up doing in 2025. So I've got a lot on my plate right now.
Well, and you put out on top of the End Machine album, there was also the Revolution Saints album, Against the Winds. That I think that was maybe February. That's of course, for those that don't know, that's you, Joel Hoekstra, and Dean Castronavo from Journey. But that album I listened to quite a bit when it was first released. I loved it. What's the status with that band?
The status with that band is I'm no longer part of it. They would like to do shows next year that I'm not able to do because of my schedule. So I don't know who will be taking my place at this point, but I love those guys and we're all brothers, so it wasn't anything weird. So I won't be doing more records with them, but hopefully they're going to do some shows next year, which would really be great.
Yeah, there's so many a lot of these I think Revolution Saints, that band is on Frontiers, right? A lot of those Frontiers bands, there's a million of them, and a lot of these, bands that get kind of put together with, this guy from that band and somebody else.
Yeah, project bands,
yeah. But then they never go out and do anything. So the fact that they want to go out and do some shows is pretty cool.
Yeah. I know exactly, and I 1000% endorse that. I just can't be part of it. So, but they'll find something great, and it'll be great. I mean, I have a lot of faith in that band. Dean's voice is just, it's got to be out there. I mean, he's too good a singer.
He's
And for
incredible.
that matter, Joel is just an incredible guitar player and writer. So I think they're going to come up with some great stuff, and I can't wait till they do. And like I say, we're bros and everything. So I wish them nothing but the best. And I do hope they get to do some shows because God, that would be great.
Well, I guess one last thing before we wrap this up, I got to ask, are you in contact at all with Don Dokken and anything on the Dokken front? Obviously, you're very, very busy with Foreigner. Not that you could
Right.
even really handle much else at the moment, but uh,
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always pressure on us to reform and reunite and do a record. And I would love to do a record. I would love to do a last Dokken record that was really good. And judging by what we did in 2016 together, our chemistry is kind of intact. It's not going to go anywhere. So if we did a record, it'd be great, but I don't anticipate it, partly because of my schedule, and partly I think he has his own version of the band right now, and I think he's pretty happy with that. I don't think he wants to deal with a situation where other guys, are kind of equals with him. I don't think I mean,
sure.
and I'm not saying that as a slight. I'm just saying I think that's the fact. I think he just doesn't want to deal with that. Kind of don't blame him. And remember, it's all his right now. If George and I get involved, it's not all his. So,
Sure.
I don't see him wanting to do that. I mean, I know there's a part of him that would love to do a last Dokken record together. That would be great. I know there's a part of him I think there's a part of him that knows that the best Dokken record would be if he and George and I wrote it. If we did a final Dokken record together, that would be the best result. Maybe someday, I don't know. Don has said some really nasty things about us in the press lately, so that gives me the impression that he's not in the mood to reunite at the moment. So let him stew, and and he's got his own record out. So I mean, I'm never opposed. I'm always, you can always call me and talk about it. But the scheduling would be really tricky. And again, I don't know if Don's heart would be into it, and it would have to be. George's is George and I talk about it. He's like, God, one more record, just one more record. If we could just do one more record, and I agree with him. We'll see. Um, uh, but let's don't hold your breath.
No, for sure. I mean, I don't think anybody's holding their breath on that, but I think we'd all love to see it. But I don't think anybody is expecting it at this point. Although, would be great, and stranger things have happened. But
And it goes on longer than I ever would have thought. I mean, when we talked about reuniting 30 years ago, we were like wondering, like, well, is this kind of the end of people's interest in us? So, and here we are 30 years later. So, who knows? Who knows?
well, outside of music, I guess as we wrap this up, I notice when you pop on the Zoom, it says "Hot for Yoga," and I know if you go to your website, there's a lot of yoga on there. Do you teach yoga or what? I don't know anything about it.
I do. Yes. Well, for one thing, Hot for Yoga is the name of the yoga studio that my wife runs. But there are virtual classes on there. And if you go to hotforyogascv.com, you can find out all the details. And yes, I teach a virtual meditation class once a week for 30 minutes. It's been a real trip for me, a real joy. I love people, I love having people, from all over join. And so if you go to hotforyogascv.com, look for the virtual meditation, and please join us. We're also doing a retreat in Costa Rica from May 29th through June 6th of 2025. And it is incredible. We did one last year. The resort that we do it at is phenomenal. The food is amazing. The people are great. The atmosphere is delightful. It was just a great retreat. Lots of expeditions, lots of good yoga. I mean, it was amazing. It was just a wonderful retreat. So, and you don't even have to do yoga to enjoy it, because it was just that strong a feeling at the resort. It was amazing. So yes, go to hotforyogascv.com /Costa Rica retreat, and you'll find out about that.
How did you get into all that? Was it your wife that got you into it? Because that's probably a pretty far cry from what you were spending free time doing back in the Dokken days, I'm sure.
It certainly is. But well, actually, but I was doing yoga in the Dokken days,
Oh,
but I
no
was
kidding.
also doing a lot of drugs and drinking. So, but no, I started. Actually, it was in 1978 that I started because I hurt my back really bad, and I was the story goes that I was actually on the floor for 3 hours, staying at a friend's house, and I couldn't move until he came home and got me up. And in that 3 hours of being immobile on the floor from pain, I kind of decided I'm only 20 years old. This is not right. What the hell's going on? And I kind of remembered back that somebody a long time ago had told me, because, I'm a very hyperactive guy. I'm a high energy guy. And you should have seen me at 20. So, but somebody had suggested you should do yoga. So when I got off the floor after that 3 hours, I went and got a book by a guy by the name of Richard Hittleman. And he ended up becoming my guru. He was an amazing teacher. He passed away in 1991, but his teachings and his workshops changed my life. And I started doing it in 1978 and have done it every day since. It's a huge part of my life. I started with just the postures, the asanas, the exercises, and then as I got into it more and more, I eventually got into the meditation, and it just became an indispensable part of my life.
Well, I'll put a link down in the description of the video to your website so people can check it out. But I guess as we wrap this up, anything else before we go?
Wow. So we got the Foreigner, we got M Machine had the new record. Actually, the record hadn't come out the last time we spoke, huh?
Correct.
No, it hadn't.
Correct. Now
Right,
it's
so
out.
that came out. But the M Machine Quantum Phase, that's still available. Go get that. There will be a Black Swan record sometime in 2025. Don't have a title for it yet. But all the music is done. We're 3 vocals in, 7 have been written. And then, like I say, at some point, probably in the next couple of months, George and I are going to start writing another, or not writing, we're putting together another Heavy Hitters record, which for us is fun because it's all covers, and we have so much fun doing that. That's guilty pleasure stuff, because George and I love to work together, and give us an excuse and we'll do it. So, and we've had a real good run with these Heavy Hitters records. People are digging it, and it's just a great outlet for us. So be doing that in the next couple of months. I'm sure that'll probably not come out till the end of 25 or whatever. So Black Swan, Heavy Hitters, and then there will be another M Machine record. So lots of stuff coming.
And then plenty of tour dates to go catch you out on the road live with Foreigner all throughout 2025. And will there be another Vegas residency as well in 25?
Not in 25, but I wouldn't doubt if it happens sometime later.
Cool. Well, Jeff, I got to say, man, thanks again for coming on. It's just like last time. Great to have you on and shoot the shit with you about all million of your projects that you have going on. So thank you.
Well, thank you, man. Great time. And I will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, man. And hopefully I'll make it out to a Foreigner show in 2025 and
Please.
Be a good time.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, Logan.
Hey, man.
Great interview.
Thank you so much. Take care.